In almost every devotional household across India, the name Sita brings to mind a specific image. Spoken with reverence, she appears as a figure defined by her immense patience, a woman who endured exile, abduction, and fire with quiet devotion. Curious, shifting tone. Valmiki's original Sanskrit preserves layers of her character that centuries of softer retellings have gradually set aside. Beside that well-known patience, the oldest text reveals a woman who debates, who trains warriors, and who refuses to be dismissed. Her origins are found in the very meaning of her name. In literal Sanskrit, Sita refers to the furrow made by a plow. The text records that King Janaka discovered her emerging from the earth itself while he was plowing a field in preparation for a sacred ritual. Raised in a court famous for its philosophical depth, Sita received an education mirroring that of a Kshatriya prince. Traditional commentaries note she was trained in governance and military principles appropriate for her royal warrior lineage. Sita entered the Dandaka forest as a Kshatriya royal, already equipped with the training and inner strength needed to meet the trials ahead. This strength appears the moment Rama is exiled. When he initially suggests she remain in the safety of Ayodhya to avoid the dangers of the wilderness, Sita argues against his reasoning at length. She makes a case that a wife's duty is inseparable from her husband's circumstances. Invoking her identity as a Kshatriya woman, she reminds him that shared sacrifice is core to her nature, making the safety of a palace without him a fundamental misunderstanding of their vows. Scholars like V.S. Srinivasa Sastry, who lectured extensively on this passage, describe her language here as forceful. She confronts Rama's suggestions so effectively that he relents. He yields because her argument prevailed. This influence continues at the Chitraku Hermitage, where she engages Rama in substantive philosophical discussions. Her perspective shapes his moral conduct, leading him to take a vow regarding restraint in the use of violence, limiting its use to cases of unavoidable provocation. These early events establish her as a primary architect of the ethical principles that guide the entire exile. Her perceptiveness protects her when Ravana approaches her hermitage disguised as a holy man. Sita questions his bearing before he ever drops the illusion, noting how his outward appearance is inconsistent with the behavior of a genuine ascetic. When Ravana reveals his true identity and offers her unimaginable wealth, she rejects him to his face. Standing alone against the most dangerous being in the three worlds, she speaks without fear, declaring that she remains inseparable from Rama, in the same way that light remains inseparable from the sun. Even after months of captivity in Lanka, she maintains control over her circumstances. When Hanuman offers to fly her to safety on his back, Sita declines the rescue. She reasons that being carried away in secret would lack the dignity the situation requires. She insists instead that Rama must defeat Ravana in open combat, ensuring her rescue is an honorable resolution rather than a quiet escape. This agency clarifies the nature of the fire ordeal that follows the war. Valmiki records Rama acknowledging her purity privately. The trial exists only as a political necessity to satisfy public scrutiny. Sita complies with evident anguish, bearing a burden imposed by the demands of the crown rather than her husband's doubt. Throughout her captivity, Sita maintained her moral authority. She dictated the terms of her own rescue and shaped the political resolution of the war. The final chapters of Valmiki's text move into the second forest exile. Facing continued public rumors, Rama sends a pregnant Sita away. She chooses to take refuge in the hermitage of sage Valmiki rather than returning to her father's court. For years, she functions as the sole authority for her sons, Lava and Kusha. She guides their education and training so effectively that when they eventually meet Rama's forces, these forest-raised princes are capable of defeating Rama's own brothers in combat. When the family is finally reunited, Rama asks Sita for a second public demonstration of her purity. This time, she refuses to comply with the external demand. Instead of submitting to fire, she makes a personal appeal to the earth itself. She asks that if she has remained faithful, the ground receives her back into its depths. The earth opens, and she descends, a final departure made entirely on her own terms. Reclaiming Valmiki's version of Sita adds a dimension of self-determined strength to the patience and grace she is already known for. Her story concludes not with a test she was forced to undergo, but with a choice she initiated herself.